Guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be exploring the Cronos L6016. So I purchased this watch from the Cronos Watches official store on AliExpress during the 11/11 sale for just under $165. Cronos has nothing to do with this review, but I do have some affiliate links in the description, hence why you would have seen that includes paid promotion tag. The watch is sold in two movement options, so you have two different prices. So the retail price for this watch with the Miyota 8215 is $181 US, and with the Miyota 8315 it is $211 US. But like I mentioned, they do go on sale and you can get them for significantly less. The watch is currently available in 4 different colorways, which you can see on screen here, and I think they all look really good. The light blue has a glossy dial, the darker blue is a matte dial, it looks like, and I believe the white is also a glossy. But yeah, I think they all do look really good. I just couldn't help myself and say no to the classic black dial. The watch case, bracelet, and clasp are made of 316L stainless steel, has a sapphire crystal, a screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and it's powered by your choice of the Miyota 8000 series movements. So this watch arrived about a week ago, literally 20 minutes before I set off on a 3-day camping trip. So I took the bracelet off, threw it on a pass-through strap, and left. And so I had a good 3 solid 24/7 days with this on the wrist, overnight, camping, hiking, all that fun stuff. I didn't really baby it at all. I kind of put it through hell. And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this thing stands up under some harsh lighting and some macro. To me, it still looks pretty good though. So I say we get right into the full review. But before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing the San Martin SN0105, I believe. This is on my old Hamilton khaki strap. I think that the combo looks so cool. And I've really been enjoying this watch. The review, it should be up in the upper right corner. Alright, so let's do the dimensions. 39 millimeters in diameter, 11.8 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width. The bracelet tapers down to 16 millimeters. Lug tip to lug tip is 47.5. End link to end link is 49.8. And sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs 130 grams. So I think the size on this thing is really nice. It's going to fit a lot of wrists. Yeah, I'm very happy with the size on this thing. It's pretty thin. It's got nice curve down to the lugs, as you can see there. You know, it's got protruding male end links, but since they are tucked up a little bit, we'll talk about that during the bracelet review. It wears really good, very comfortable, and I like the way it wears. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, I mean, it just wears great. I've got no issues with the way this thing wears. It's very comfortable. It feels balanced on the wrist. It looks really good. You get some nice turn down to those lugs as well. Lots and lots of light play off of the crystal, off the bezel, the dial. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it looks great. And it fits very nicely on my wrist. And I think it's going to fit nicely on a lot of wrists. And popping out in some direct sunlight here, you can see still very legible, nice clear AR coating on the crystal, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And yeah, I mean, what's not to like about this thing? It just looks really good. Very happy with the way this thing looks and wears. But let's go throw it on some straps and let's get back to the review. Yeah, here we are on a gray suede strap. This is lifted off of my Merkur, so no link to buy this one, but very nice strap, and I think that combo looks pretty good. I like the extra taper on it. I think that helps, and yeah, it looks good. What do you guys think about that one? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, here we are on a black rubber strap. This one's from Strapco. Very nice. I like the style of this one, and I think that looks great. I mean, that's a nice everyday, very comfortable setup. I mean, it's a lightweight watch head with a nice lightweight flexible strap. I think that looks awesome. And here we are on my very favorite Vario vintage leather strap, and I think that looks great. I just like these with the extra taper. I think that helps a lot in my opinion. And it looks awesome. Looks really good. What do you guys think? Here we are on a bright blue strap. This one is also from AliExpress. Hopefully I can find the link for this. This will be down below. It's a ultra cheap. I mean, it's like $1, but it's very comfortable. It's got quick release and it looks really cool, so figured I'd throw it on there. I like that a lot. That's a nice, fun summer setup in my opinion. Here we are on a dark green, kind of army green Perlon strap. So you got one layer underneath the watch there. It still sits really, really nice. And yeah, I think that looks good. One thing to note is the spring bars are pretty close to the case. So if you have a thicker strap, I know that last blue one, that one's pretty thick around the spring bars. And then this one here, I had trouble getting it on. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you are planning on using a thicker strap, it might be a tight fit. It might hit the case. So yeah, just something to note. But yeah, I do think that looks pretty good. I got one last strap to throw it on and we'll get back to this review. And lastly, here we are on a CNS watch band's ribbed nylon strap with 2 layers underneath it. Again, still looks really good. Nice and low profile, very comfortable. And yeah, that looks great. This is what I wore it on when I grabbed it and went camping with it. So yeah, this is a very comfortable setup. Wore this 24/7 for 3 days straight, and yeah. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, I like it. All right, let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. And the case finishing is done really nicely. Very happy with Cronos and their case finishing. It's always very nicely done, nice and crisp, but it's also not sharp. So they kind of have an advantage over San Martin in that aspect. But yeah, the case finishing on this is done really good. You have a fully polished bezel, as you can see here. Looks really, really good. Very happy with it. Even that bottom edge is polished. You have brushing on the tops of the lugs. Again, really nice linear brushing. Really smooth, like very fine brushing. I like the brushing that they do. It has a really nice luster to it, which sometimes, you lose that sometimes when you start brushing these things. So you got to do a really good job to keep the luster. They did a good job. Case sides, fully polished, as you can see here. They are rounded case sides, which is nice to see. Gives a little bit more interest to the case. Flipping it over to the crown side here, you can see the Cronos signed crown. Really like that hourglass logo that they use. And again, I mean, the case finishing on this is excellent. Very happy with it. Nice sharp transition between the brushed and polished surfaces there. Just really nicely done. Very happy with it. I've got no complaints with the case finishing on this. It looks very, very good. So flipping it over to the case back here, you can see it's your typical case back for this style of watch. I'm still not a fan of these. It's your coin edge style. They're just not easy to get into. Most people won't want to mess with it, but if you do want to mess with it, these are not very convenient. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But otherwise, I think it's done really nicely, finished nicely. Nothing is sharp under here. Even these bottom edges of the case here are pretty nicely rounded off. It's a very comfortable watch to wear. You've got some circular brushing on the bottom of the case, and everything is done really nicely. Got no issues with it at all. Now let's talk about the crystal. We'll test it for a sapphire. And it is positive for a sapphire. So it is a very simple crystal. It is completely flat, clear, and a reflective coating. It does sit above the bezel quite high for a flat crystal, which is unusual. Nice big chamfer around the outside, but it sits up about 1 millimeter or so. I'd kind of be a little bit worried about nicking one of these corners on something and chipping the glass, but yeah, that's really my only complaint with the crystal. Completely satisfied with that. One thing I have noticed, I don't know if it's just what I've been doing with it, but it seems to pick up fingerprints a lot. I don't know what it is, but I've been cleaning this crystal off more than any other crystal I have. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe it's just, it just happened to be that way, but yeah, that's what I've kind of noticed with this crystal. But otherwise, very happy with it. All right, so let's get close and let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is a glossy, dark, just inky black. It looks stunning. Really, really nicely done. Very happy with it. Very smooth. Sometimes you get them when you can actually see like divots around the applied indices. There's nothing like that on this. It's nice and smooth. Very, very happy with the dial on this thing. You got applied indices at all the hour markers. You got your 3, 6, and 9 with numerals. Very happy with those. They look good even under macro, which I'm sure you saw in the B-roll. Very, very happy with it. You have a white printed minute track around the outside. Again, nicely done. The alignment is just spot on, just perfectly aligned. The Cronos logo is applied, which you can see right there. Really nicely done. It's kind of got a rounded top edge to it, so it kind of always catches the light. That's one thing I was a little worried about this watch. One of the main reasons why I didn't buy it early on is because of that logo. Yeah, sometimes with these applied logos, they just kind of disappear and vanish, and I hate that. I really don't like it. This one, it does a pretty good job of kind of showing up all the time. So, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Otherwise, I think everything on this dial is really nicely done, and I'm overall very happy with it. The handset on this thing, again, really nicely done. You can see here the minute hand reaches right out to the minute track. Second hand as well with the lollipop on it. Looks really, really good. The Mercedes hour hand, in my opinion, is just a little bit too small. They could have bolded that up just a little bit and made it just a touch longer, and I think it would have been a lot better. It does seem a little small. It doesn't really bother me too much, but it's one of those things that I picked up on early and I can't unsee it. So yeah, I would like them to kind of put a little bit bigger of an hour hand on there, and I think it would look a lot better. But other than that, very happy with the dial, and also very happy with the lume. You can see the lume is applied to the hands and the indices, pure white. It's BGW9 lume. I'm going to pop up my lume shot right now. So here you can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it does really, really good. The application is nice and even. The 3, 6, and 9 has a little bit less lume in it, but they still last all night long. So I have no problems reading it. Even 5 o'clock in the morning when I woke up on the camping trip and looked at my watch, I could tell what time it was without much of an issue. So the lume on this thing is very good, and I'm really happy with the application. I think it looks great. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. And the movement has been pretty good. So we're going to be talking about the Miyota 8315. That's what's in this watch. And I've been pretty happy with it overall. I'm going to pop up the time grapher shot right here, and you can see it's running a little fast, 12 seconds a day. But that's in the dial up position. I also tested the crown up and crown down positions, and those kind of flatlined at 0. So it does even out throughout the day. I haven't noticed it running fast over the last 5 days that it's been running. So I've got no issues with the movement as far as accuracy goes. The 8 series movements from Miyota, they're a little bit finicky, not as refined as, say, a NH35 or NH38. So they do have little quirks about them, and we're going to talk about those in just a second. This movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown here. So you unscrew it. The screw in and screw out action on these things are super smooth. I think they use those the spring-loaded crowns because you're not winding the movement when you're screwing it in. So it's a very nice, easy, and smooth screw in and screw out action. Pop it out to the first position here. You are hand winding. Pop it out to the second position. There's a ghost date position, and I can hear it clicking around back there. Pop it out to the third. It does hack the movement, and this is where you set your time. No issues with it. It doesn't feel as smooth as an NH35. It feels just like a Miyota 8215. Yeah, no real issues with it. I think the only thing they really changed is the mainspring, and that should give it 60 hours of power reserve. Very happy with the power reserve on this thing. I like the fact that these all hack, where the 8215 was kind of hit or miss whether it hacked or not. So yeah, this is definitely the better movement. Whether you want to pay the extra like $30 for it, I mean that's up to you guys. But yeah, it's a perfectly acceptable movement. The things that I don't like about the Miyota 8 series movements, the main one is the unidirectional winding rotor. It's just not a pleasant sound, especially on this watch. I've had the 8.3 and 8.215s on other watches, like more solid, thicker dive watches, and they're fine. They don't really bother me. On this one, I can definitely hear the rotor wobbling back there. I can feel it on wrist sometimes. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but yeah, it's definitely one that I can hear. It doesn't have to be a quiet room either. I heard it pretty much all through the camping trip. So yeah, it's not my favorite movement, but it is going to be accurate. It is going to be reliable. I know some of you guys like the sound of that back there. I'm not a huge fan of it after the NH35s. Those ones are much quieter. But yeah, it is what it is. That's the 8315. That's the movement we have in this. And that's kind of what you have to expect when you get this watch. It's not going to be the quietest movement. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. And the bracelet is overall pretty good. I've got one issue with it, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The bracelet is 20 millimeters. It tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. It's nice classic style taper to it. You've got really nice brush surface on the top, polishing on the sides. You have screw pins for adjusting. Down to the clasp here, it's your typical clasp. It's unsigned. It has a little bit of a sharp edge over here on these corners here. Other than that, though, it's a very comfortable clasp, and it works really, really good. I've got no issues with it. Polished on the insides here. Nicely done. Yeah, nice tight tolerances on all these hinges here, and everything opens and closes just as you would expect. I've got no issues with that. Popping it open here, you do have a quick extension there, which is nice to see. And with this quick extension open, you can see you have access to a spring bar here, and that's where you can adjust to these 3 micro adjust holes. It's a pain in the butt. I hate that they use these things, but it is what it is. Kind of used to it by now. But yeah, that's my only complaint about this clasp. I just don't like that hidden micro adjust. It's so tough to do it. I could have used it instead. I'm wearing it a little bit tight. I removed one link for my 7.5 inch wrist. So yeah, you're gonna be fighting to get this on like an 8 inch wrist. So just keep that in mind. Ask for some extra links if you need to. But overall, I think the bracelet is very nice. It's nice and smooth on this bottom edge. It's comfortable. It's fluid, as you can see here. I've got no major issues with it. The end links, they follow the curvature of the case pretty nicely. They do stop short of the lug tips here. So that's that protruding male end link. It only adds like 2 millimeters to the entire watch. So again, not a huge deal, and it wears good. It looks good. My only complaint is the end link fitment here. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it on camera here, but there's a definite gap between the end link and the case here. Yeah, I can wiggle this thing back and forth. It doesn't do it really on wrist at all. I haven't noticed it on wrist, but I can definitely notice the gap between the case and the case and the end link. I don't know if it's coming across on camera. Hopefully it is, but there is a noticeable gap there. That's my only real complaint about the bezel or the bracelet on this thing. Otherwise, the bracelet is excellent. Very happy with it. So there you go, guys. That is the Cronos L6016. Yeah, it's a pretty nice watch. I held off buying it at the full retail, $210. I think that's a little too much for it. Although it is a excellent watch. The movement really held me back. And after having it on wrist, I can see why it held me back. My expectations of the movement were correct. It's loud in this case. So that's unfortunate. If this had the NH38, I think this would be one of Cronos's best selling watches. Because otherwise, besides the movement, it is excellent. It's got great lume, a beautiful black dial or whatever color dial you want. Excellent finishing, great bracelet, nice smooth crown action. Even the movement, it's not a huge deal breaker if you're used to the 8 series movement. Yeah, I mean, it's a great watch, especially at $165. $165 with this movement. I think it's a great buy. I'm not saying I would pay $210 for it, but that $160 to $170 range, I think you're safe at buying it. Even if the 8215 in it, if you're okay with that movement, with it might not hack. That one you could get for under $150, and for under $150, it's excellent. I'm thinking back to the old days where a Seiko 5 would cost $120. This thing just blows that out of the water. So just something to consider. It's a great watch. It's one of these watches you're going to be able to wear pretty much everywhere. A beautiful, go anywhere, do anything watch that's not going to break the bank. So if you guys are now interested in this watch, click the link down below. That is an affiliate link. I really do appreciate you guys using my affiliate links. That's the only reason why I got this watch. I wouldn't have bought this without the affiliate links and without the affiliate earnings. So thank you guys so much. It's a great watch, and I'm glad that I think this might be the second review of this watch online. So really happy that I could show it off to you guys. Yeah, it's overall pretty good. Actually, it's overall really good. Just the movement is really my only main issue with this watch. But other than that, I think it's really good. I think it's worth your money if you can get it on sale. And yeah, hopefully you guys can pick it up on a good price, and you'll enjoy it, I promise. I think that's about it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.